My name is Phil Markel. I am Dan Markel's father. Dan, my only son, was born October 9th, 1972, in Montreal, Quebec. During that time in Quebec, husbands were not allowed to actually be in the delivery room during the child's birth. However, since the obstetrician was a very close friend of ours, I was allowed to experience the most amazing of moments, the birth of my son. I will never forget the emergence of his head and then those shoulders of an NFL football fullback, a boy of 10 pounds. There I was, holding in my arms this gift of life, my bundle of absolute sheer joy. From the time he was a child, my son had tremendous energy, intelligence, and great warmth. Dan had a vibrant, fun-loving personality and lived life to its fullest. Danny loved to socialize, dance, cook, entertain, and play sports, and dedicated himself wholeheartedly to everything that he did. He always looked to do that which was true and to achieve better results in every activity that he did. This desire of improvement and commitment to excellence was a defining characteristic of his short life. I fondly remember taking Danny skiing up the hills of the Laurentian Mountains in Quebec when he was just 2 years old. He rode up the mountain, holding onto the T-bar, and then coming down the ski hill yelling with great joy, "Faster, Daddy, faster." Then, as he grew a little older, he played hockey at the local park. To improve his skating skills, he requested to take a speed skating lesson with a local coach who was from Russia, and he had a reputation of being very tough. Dan persevered, and after every hockey lesson, he came off the ice with a red face, totally out of breath because he always gave it his all. At about the age of 13, Danny developed the idea that he was going to Harvard University for his college education. He discovered that the acceptance requirements for Harvard were not only with grades, but also work for the community and charitable work. To achieve these goals, he revived his high school newspaper. He became the newspaper's editor, the business manager, and performed charitable deeds and volunteered in the community. After years of hard work and determination, Dan was accepted to Harvard. He graduated Harvard magna cum laude, went on to study at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem for 1 year, and then earned a Master's of Philosophy in Political Theory from Emmanuel College at the University of Cambridge in England. He returned thereafter to Harvard Law School to earn his law degree, and went on to become an extremely successful lawyer and influential legal scholar. Danny served as a law clerk for a federal judge, worked as an associate at a prestigious law firm in Washington, D.C., and then secured a prestigious teaching position at FSU College of Law. In a few short years, Dan became a full tenured law professor before the tender age of 41, quite unusual. Dan co-authored a book and published many articles in highly regarded law journals and newspapers like the New York Times. Dan's work was influential, and he gave lectures and presented at universities around the world. Although Dan was fond of his Canadian roots, he was very dedicated to the FSU Law School and the Tallahassee community. He was recognized as a scholar who contributed and made a difference in the world. While Dan's career was important to him, family meant everything. Danny's marriage produced 2 boys, Benjamin and Lincoln, who were his absolute world and the love of his life. Dan arranged his entire life around those 2 boys. He would arrange his teaching schedule, travel plans, exercise, activities, all around his desire to spend as much time as possible with his 2 boys. He would meet them for breakfast at their preschool. He would sit in the middle of a circle with Benjamin and Lincoln and all the other classmates and tell stories, read, or sing songs as they ate breakfast. Benjamin and Lincoln were his pride and joy and meant absolutely everything to him. Dan made sure that he and the boys came to Montreal and Toronto to attend every family affair and visit with all the extended Markel family, including grandparents, uncles, aunts, and many numerous cousins. Despite the distance, Dan felt that the boys had to know and be a part of family. Dan also made sure that he and the boys participated in the Tallahassee community and they were involved in the local synagogue. Dan left home at the young age of 17 to go to Harvard, but he always came home for summer vacations, holidays, and all family functions. Danny and I, despite the fact that we lived quite far apart, regularly communicated through text, email, and phone calls. Despite this physical distance, as time moved on, we grew ever so much closer. At Dan's suggestion, we would plan to talk and have a meal together. At the appointed day and time, we each would prepare a meal, set our table with the tablet in the middle, and over Skype, we would sit together and enjoy each other's company for a couple of hours, despite the actual distance. Dan's life was abruptly cut short, and he was forever taken from me, his boys, and the rest of our family, and all his many friends and colleagues. My life has been in total disarray since Dan's murder. Many nights I wake up in the middle of the night in a terrible sweat with thoughts of Dan's murder and all that has happened. There is not a single day in my life since Danny's death that in one way or another he does not enter into my thoughts, and I miss him with all my heart. I am constantly reminded of Dan's murder and his absence. When I meet new people, the topic of discussion always comes up when they ask whether I have children. How do I respond? It is difficult to put into words the hideous acts that took Danny away from us, the unthinkable pain that I must live with every single day. Losing a son or daughter is something I wish nobody should have to experience. It's not in the order of nature. Danny is never coming back. We continue to hope and pray for justice and a return to normality of seeing and playing a vital role in the lives of our two grandsons, Ben and Lincoln. It has been a number of years since I last wrote a victim impact statement, sharing how Danny's death has affected me. Despite our persistent efforts, we still do not have a real relationship with Danny's sons, Ben and Lincoln. Visits are limited and very controlled. For 6 years, we were denied any and all visits with the boys. In the last 2 years, I've been permitted 2 60 to 90-minute visits, supervised visits. This limited contact is incredibly painful, and I feel like they have been cut out of our lives. Not only have I lost my son, but I have effectively lost 2 of my grandkids as well. Even their family names have been changed from Markel to Adelson. While we work hard to help introduce a new bill in the state of Florida known as the Markel Act, which gives grandparents important rights, unfortunately, our relationship with Ben and Lincoln has not been restored. As this bill was coming to fruition, there was a lot of negative publicity and press and media of Danny's ex-wife, Wendy. In my opinion, Wendy was focused on improving her public image, and as a result, extended an invitation to us to Ben's bar mitzvah. Ruth and I were invited to attend only the ceremonial part of this important stage in a Jewish boy's life, and we were not invited to participate in any reception typical of this celebration. But this invitation opened the door to one of the limited visits described above. In order to not overwhelm Ben and Lincoln on this important day, we asked to arrange a meeting before the bar mitzvah in order to make things easier on the boys. While we hadn't been allowed to visit in years, we were able to arrange a brief 90-minute supervised visit with Ben and Lincoln, and this would be a few weeks before the bar mitzvah. However, immediately after our brief visit, Charlie was arrested, and Wendy rescinded our invitation to the bar mitzvah. At the time, she said they were going to either postpone or completely cancel this bar mitzvah ceremony. Neither of those happened. Instead, my understanding is that the Adelsons went on to have the bar mitzvah ceremony and party, all without the Markel family's presence or participation. Missing out on this important part of Ben's life was incredibly painful. After so many years without Danny, we hope to make progress in forging a consistent relationship with his sons, but this still has many challenges. This is the year that Lincoln turns 13, the age of bar mitzvah. As yet, we have not been informed if and when he will have a bar mitzvah, nor if we will be invited to participate in this very important time of Lincoln's life. I have very little hope that we will be allowed to participate in this important life cycle event. Dan's murder brought his life abruptly to an end for no sensible reason and has affected a countless number of people. The legal community is deprived of Dan's wisdom and ideas, which made the world a better place. Dan's students are deprived of the experience of having Dan as a brilliant professor and caring mentor showing them a path. Dan's colleagues can no longer benefit from Dan's friendship, insights, and scholarly discussion. Ruth and I have been deprived of our son, who has been taken away from us so suddenly and totally against life's schedule. Ben and Lincoln must go through life without their father, who loved them with all his being. The boys have been deprived of their father's entire family after Dan's murder. We have no idea of what these boys know or have been told about Danny's death. I truly believe that they have been brainwashed in all these years from the ages of 3 and 4 to present day. I also have no idea what the boys know of us, the entire Markel family, our history, etc., and especially how much we all love them and wish they were an active part of our family. Both Ruth and I are approaching 80 years of age. At this moment, we are healthy, but one does not know what tomorrow brings. The wheels of justice turn very, very slowly, but so far, we are grateful that they are still turning. We're grateful to Tallahassee law enforcement, to the state attorneys and all their staff, to all our relatives and friends, including the hundreds of Danny's friends and colleagues around the world, for their constant support over these long 10 years. To all the podcasters who work hard to keep alive this unbelievable story. We are still waiting for Benjamin and Lincoln to have a more normal relationship with the Markel family as we wait in pain and anguish. The Adelson family, in particular Charlie Adelson, has been a major cause of our heartbreak and the murder of our son Danny and the loss of our 2 grandsons. I have suffered tremendously, and we as a family continue to suffer. It is satisfying to see justice being done, and it would be appropriate to ask for the maximum sentence for the perpetrators of Danny's murder. Thank you. Today is a good day.